And yes, family, Yehoshua has provided a way for you out of the ghetto. He's already provided the way. It's real simple. We've been doing it for years. It's called indexing. How you knew I was going to go there, didn't you? That's where you get out of the ghetto. So any of you that go stand in the front of the line thinking that with your hand out and a little sad look on your face, that if you stand there and look pitiful and got your hand out, that everybody's going to say, oh, just let him in. Not going to happen. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that he is who he says he is. You want to come to the table? You want to come out of the ghetto? You get yourself indexed. That's what he's provided for you. It's simple, it's easy. And it is absolutely necessary for your life. We already have 4 troops on this soil training. They've been here for actually a few years now. No, you haven't seen a lot of them. Every now and then one will pop up here or there with their uniform on of their nation. And they've been spotted here and there through the years. But not like they're getting ready to be. Because they're here to take down the criminals in this Babylonian system that you call the U.S. of A. Why am I saying that? What's that to you? Well, because one of the things that they're going to be looking for is to see if you're indexed or not. They need to know, have you been identified? Now, those that are indexed are supposed to be operating under what we know are the 5 divine principles of life, which are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They're not supposed to be out protesting. They're not supposed to be out throwing rocks at the government. They're not supposed to be out creating havoc. Joshua's already told you what to do. Sit down, pop your popcorn, stay out of the way, and watch the show. Everything is being done properly and in order. The reset is going forward just as it was designed to do. It is accomplishing everything that is necessary for life on this planet. Again, the monetary is just a very small portion of what needs to be done. What good is it if you have all the money in the world and you can't have a decent roof over your head? Because there's nobody around to build you one, not because you can't afford one. What are you going to do if your children can't be properly educated with a decent civil foundation of common knowledge, of wisdom, of the basics of life to function? These are the things that are needed for life, family. And your indexing puts you in position to receive all of these blessings and to go forward and to survive, to have life, and to be able to live it abundantly. To work together with those of like minds, those that have a desire to help mankind instead of being a hindrance, those that have a desire to build up instead of tear down. Those are the ones going forward in the global reset, building up one another, preparing to be a benefit to mankind. So if you want to work with us, you've got to be identified. Go to the websites, sovcpr.com and .org. Under the sections indexing, you find the information that you need. Those of you that are still wanting to do conference calls for a group of people, I'd be happy to work with you. You can call me at 501-681-2386 or email me at shelleybowling@gmail.com. That's SHELLEYBOLLING@gmail.com. That should be your number one priority right now, family, is getting yourself indexed, because if you're not, you're going to be in a very bad position. With that, I will go ahead and yield back to you, sir.
I want to make sure that I'm back by notifying you I'm here. I want to say, sir. I want to say to the United States of America, Rise and Shine, this is their call, and we did designate it for them for the purpose of informing them about what's going on and how they can be those that can be prepared to fix it. We're saying that I want to once again identify who we are. We are the World Global Network, Reset, Restoration Network family. And yes, we are part of those that are part of 198 solvent nations. These solvent nations make up of 7 billion solvent principles, 7 billion solvent people. And these people are working together. They will not allow themselves to be annihilated. They will not allow themselves to become extinct. They will not even allow themselves to be controlled by any system. This is why it's so important for you to index yourself, as our host has said. And before my lights light up or any one of you start sending me texts asking me if Shelley qualifies to use the word ghetto and at the same time mention identifying or indexing yourself, let me tell you, yes, Shelly's living in the ghetto too. Shelly's ghetto. She qualifies. There is no one on this planet that doesn't qualify to use the word ghetto. It's not. Because everyone is living, I say again, in this world is a ghetto. Now, I know some of you probably say, well, what indexing got to do with it? Let me help you out. The average brother in the ghetto, and I'm speaking from experience, if it's okay with you. I am a member of the brothers from the ghetto. And I'm not a client. I am a member of the brothers from the ghetto. See, the average brother in the ghetto, he does not have an identification card. He doesn't carry one on him, I would say, majority of the time. Some of them, they may have one that could be made up, but who cares? But they need to be identified sometimes. The average brother in the ghetto, stop it. I'm talking from membership. I'm a member. I'm not a client, I'm a member. The average brother in the ghetto don't even have a driving license. Never had a driving license. For the matter of fact, haven't even taken a driving license chance to fail. Just drive anyway. Go where they want to go. Always has and always will. Have they ever had any accidents? No. The average one of them never had an accident. That's why no one still has not yet identified them as one of the people, or one of the many people of the ghetto who don't have a driving license. Stay with me. And stop. Just listen. Just listen. The average one of the brothers in the ghetto has never had a birth certificate. No. Most of them, they were born what they know to be midwives. Never went to the hospital, not going to the hospital. And even though a lot of them have been sick enough to go, they didn't go to the hospital. Why? Because someone would have found their identity out, and perhaps maybe they would have ended up in jail. Ghetto. So just calm down. Calm down. I'm getting you to a point, a reason why it's so important now for you to get some identification. Your identification, you don't want to make yourself up with the wrong people, the wrong system. Hey, listen, in the ghetto, we know who to hang with. We know how to not get involved with the wrong crowd. We know how to be on our own turf when it was time to be on your own turf. You didn't go walk around on somebody else's grass in somebody else's neighborhood. You didn't go knocking on somebody's door, and that wasn't your neighborhood. You didn't just go knocking on somebody's door, even though your cousin may have been in there. Stay with me. Stop it. I'm just giving you the understanding of why it's so important for you to understand more about the ghetto where you would go and get yourself identified. Because now the new ghetto is that you got to be identified. Thereby, everything that has been taken, everything that has been hidden, everything that has been borrowed and not brought back up to this point, all of those things, someone has got to be identified in order to be able to accept it. That's why it's so important for you to identify yourself. Index yourself. Who are you? I know. Stop it. Just because they've been calling you Traffic Man, or they've been calling you Snoop Dogg, or they've been calling you 50 Cent. Come on, we know your name is Junebug in the neighborhood. We've been knowing you Junebug for a long time. Junebug Johnson. We know exactly who you are, so stop playing games. You got to identify yourself. In order to do that, you got to put yourself on the list. Nobody's going to recognize you as 50 Cent. Nobody's going to recognize you as with the so-called Snoop Dogg. Nobody's going to recognize you by your nickname, so you got to have a real name. And if you can't use Junebug Johnson, come up with another name, but at least identify yourself. Put your picture with it. Come on, somebody, help me out. We got to help you. Don't be asking us if someone qualifies to use the word ghetto, and at the same time be asking you to get an identification card. Yes. They're not asking you to just get a card. They say identify yourself. It's a difference. You don't want a card? Fine. Give someone your name so they can put it on the list. So they can send you what's coming to you, even though you don't have an address. You got to let us know where it's got to come to, or where it's got to go. Or you got to at least be able to show up and say, I'm here. Call your name out. We'll look down the list. We'll find it. Identify yourself. You know, I know. And we got a lot of people that I'm talking to right now. People, I know. I'm talking to a lot of them. You do not want no one to know that you're still on the planet. I know. You got a lot of people that you're hiding from. I know. You know, the saddest thing is we have to hide from each other sometimes, because some of us just don't have good intentions. Some of us got bad intentions. So we end up hiding from those with bad intentions. We got some that just want to take over. They just want to be in charge. They want to be in control. And because nobody wants to be controlled, you go hide out. You get away from the people. But you're going to have to, at some point in time, identify yourself. Not to them, to the world in which now is being built around you. All the nations now are doing nothing more than identifying themselves, indexing themselves. They have gone to the extent of doing greater things, such as, you got ethnic cleansing. They are destroying people. They can count the numbers. They already have the number count in which they're looking for. After they get to that number count, everyone else that is a number is going to be destroyed, executed. I'm just giving you a fact. You're not going to be needed. Say right now, perhaps, and we know this could be considered to be hypothetical, but say that we're looking for 144,000. What happens to everyone that is beyond the number of 144,000? What if your number is 145,000? What do you think you're going to be at? What do you think is going to happen to you? What do you expect to happen to you? You show up and they said the 144,000 has already made it. So you cannot be the 144 and 1,000. You cannot be the 144,001. So what happens? What happens to you when the numbers have already been filled? I'm just putting it out there to you so you can get a better grasp on why it's so important for you to index yourself, identify yourself. I know there will be 144,000. They said that will be 12,000. 12,000 from every tribe. From every tribe. 12 tribes, 12,000 from every tribe. You have to understand that when that number runs out, there's going to be some more numbers out there. There is a roughly 8.5 billion people on the planet. 8.5 billion. And counting very close as we speak to 9 billion people. What happens when that number runs out, where they say 7 billion people? What happens when that number? They're not going to say 7 billion and 1 people. 7 billion. What happens when they say 8 billion people? What happens to the 8 billion 1 person? People, I'm giving you reality of what they're doing. This is the global reset. It is a reset in which globally everyone is going to be carried back to their initial would-be birth, where you're going to have to be identified, where they're going to have to place you in a position where you can live freely on the planet without anyone interfering with you, anyone trying to control you, anyone trying to be your master. All of that is going to be gone. Surely you want to be identified. You don't want someone coming up saying, I'm his master. He don't have any identification. He don't have a birth certificate. He don't have a name. So I'm his master. And I'm saying to you, they're going to carry you away and eliminate you. And no one will know that you have existed. Just giving you facts. Now today, we know a lot of things have taken place. They're still fighting the war in Russia and Ukraine. Americans fired a hypersonic missile that failed. It missed its mark. It didn't take off. It died out on the would-be so-called launching pad, whatever. Miscommunications that didn't know that it was speaking to itself, whatever. It failed. Russia, China, North Korea, and many of the other nations are constantly, every day, firing these same hypersonic, supersonic would-be missiles. And they are firing them successfully. And even though they're claiming that Russia now has television where their so-called television hosts are being fired from the job because they're claiming that the Western world is more powerful, are more equipped, are more ready for war than Russia, are more ready than any other nation, and they have more. Let me help you out. America does not have the manpower. They may have the equipment, but they don't have the manpower. Again, Russia is still having close to 500 million men. 500 million. Not million. 500 million. Russia still does. China has more than 2 billion men. More than 2. The nations around them, many of the nations around them got close to half. Half of a half billion. And America only has 328 million Americans, period. And that's with counting every would-be individual that they have already censored. You cannot understand the difference between manpower versus equipment. You may have the equipment, but that's equipment that will be sitting on your launching pad. That's equipment that will never leave your would-be flight line. That's equipment that will be still sitting in your military motor pool. That's equipment that will be sitting there with no personnel to be inside of it to drive it. And I need you to understand, for all of you technological, so-called minded, computer wizards who believe that the majority of your vehicles are unmanned vehicles, let me help you out. That is a beautiful dream. It is a wonderful fantasy, but there is no truth to it. You don't have that type of unmanned vehicle. You don't have that many of them. You may have some now that you're trying to make them be electrical vehicles, but they're not unmanned vehicles. They're not. And you need the bodies. You need the personnel. You need the manpower. You need the manpower. You need the female power, because you don't have it. And if you think that you're stronger than the other nations that can come and man their vehicle for you and still have men to fight against them, you're wasting your time. America right now is believing that they're using Ukraine for one reason, because those vehicles that they don't have enough manpower or they don't have enough personnel to man those vehicles, they're believing that they can teach the Ukrainians to be able to man those vehicles. But let me help you out. The Ukrainians may be intelligent, but they're not wise. They're not wise. And even though they're learning as fast as they can how to operate those vehicles and those machines, but they don't have the heart and they don't have the courage to operate those vehicles. And that's their limitation. The banks are steadily closing down. Not because they want to close down, not because they're having a hard time financially. They're closing down because the dollar is not worth anything. So their worth is not worth anything. There's no reason for them. They're dollar banks. If you don't have no dollars, or your dollar's not worth anything, how much worth do you think that your dollar bank is going to have? You got it. So it's more fitting for it to close down than to allow itself to do nothing more than sit there and deteriorate with knowing that you're never going to have enough employees to go and work inside of that bank, because that bank will never be able to pay those employees for their work. We got a lot to think about, U.S. Bank. We have a lot of work to do. I say we, based upon the fact that you have to understand that this soil in which we so now still reside on, we all live here. This soil still belongs to 5 unincorporated nations. Those 5 unincorporated nations are Indians. They are the true Indians. They're not the would-be Apaches based upon the fact they don't have red skins. They're not the Cherokees based on the fact they don't have red skins. Based on the fact that they are the original autochthonous indigenous people of this land. They have nowhere else to be, nowhere else to go, and they're not going anywhere. They're going to be here, and they're going to set their land free. They're going to get their land back by force. No, I didn't say they were going to start a war. Listen to what it says. You have to read the scriptures, especially you claiming to be Christopher Columbus and the Christians that brought him here. You should have read the scriptures. It tells you that when they take the land back, they will take it back by force. It's in the book. You tell me, what does that mean? You're the believer, as you have so claimed. What does it mean that they should take it by force? Take it back by force. What does that mean? I thought so. I got work to do. Well, you plunder on how you're going to be able, I would say, to cooperate with those men and women in the world in which now preparing themselves to take it back by force. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to be able to work with them rather than against them, knowing that they're going to do it. Now you got to find some way that you can peacefully live amongst them, or not. I look outside my window. Dark out there. It's night. By all measures, it's night. The galaxies are saying that it's night. The space is saying that it's night. The moon is saying that it's night. Jupiter and Mars and all of the other would-be planets that are lining up one by one are saying that it's night. Yes, and I know it's definitely night. So there's a candle burning outside my window, sitting on a little small desk. There's a little old man sitting there. Yeah, little old man. He's smiling. You got it. And I'm going to go and get with him. I know he's got some things that we have to go over. We still got that light burning. He lets me know that as long as that light is burning, man must work while it's still light, while it is still day. Man must work. For when night comes, no man can work. My work is outweighing my night, but I'm okay with that. As for you, though, you need to get your rest. Get prepared. As it has been this week, it's going to be even a harder week coming. And I know some of you are going to be trying to dodge that old day that everybody will begin to start doing nothing more than calling you a fool. But I would tell you, when that day comes, act as if no, it never came. So let's just stay wise. Meantime, get your rest. You're going to need it. Peace and love. And nightfall.
Thank you, Yehoshua. And thank you, family, for joining us. We will be with you Friday evening at the same time. In the meantime, darkness has fallen. That means we've got the opportunity to get our rest, build up our strength, and prepare for what is coming and what is required of us to do. We'll get it done. We love you, family. We leave you with John 17:14-17. I, Yehoshua, have given them your word, Father Yah, and the world has hated them, because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them by your truth, Father Yah. Your word is truth. With that, I yield to you, Sister Nadia.